want to thank you for checking out this YouTube, and I just want to share more about what the Watchtower organizations, some of the things they would never, ever want you to hear until after, of course, you're in there and you're baptized and you're dedicated and you're kind of fully indoctrinated into their faith. But I wanted to talk today about a little bit about sexuality and their view of sexuality and some of the things that you'll encounter if you become a witness. There's frequent articles that come out about sexuality and how you're supposed to handle yourself in the bedroom and your self period and so on and so forth. And I just want to tell you that any type of oral sex or anything like that is prohibited within the Jehovah's Witness organization. Anything like that, they say it's something to do with homosexuality. If a man goes down on a woman or a woman goes down on a man, it's not natural and it's forbidden. And if such a thing was to occur, you would be encouraged to go to the elders and tell them all about it. It says, if there's anyone sinning among you, let him call upon the older men of the congregation. So say what you would do, you practice some sort of oral sex with your wife, and the Watchtower article came out a month later and talks about sexual activities in the bedroom. And it might say, are you practicing such things? If you are, you need to talk to the older men of the congregation that they can grease you with the scriptures and bring you back to health. So anyway, you are literally to report to the elders, you and your husband, and tell them about the incidents. Tell them in full. Tell 2 or 3 elders. It might be you as a sister, it might be you as a brother, it might be the both of you. Tell them the whole story. Can you imagine going in before men, grown men, and telling them that you had oral sex with your husband or wife and in full detail? Well, that's what you're required to do as a Jehovah's Witness. And I want to tell you a personal story that I had one time. When I was in there, I wasn't fully aware that masturbation was something that you don't do as a Jehovah's Witness. And anyway, so I went in there, and sure enough, the Watchtower article comes out and says, that in the old days, in the old Bible, if the semen was to hit the ground, you'd have to go outside the city for days and remain unclean. And so when they brought it to present day, they said, if anybody in the congregation is doing this, that they would be entertaining wrong thoughts, and that's why they're having this problem. And in such a case, you would need to call on the older men of the congregation. So that's exactly what I did. My conscience started to bother me, and I thought I need to talk to these older men because I have a problem with this. And I went to the older men, and I had some privileges in the hall. I read the Watchtower, I did certain responsibilities, and I decided I was going to talk to them. So I went in there and talked to them, and they said, well, Brother Clark, this is terrible. And, from my perspective, I thought, man, these guys don't do this, man. These guys are really straight, man. It's, you would think they'd never done it ever in their life. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm, so sorry I've done this, And they said, we're going to have to take your responsibilities away. And I was like, whoa. So they took away my Watchtower reading, they took away my microphone handling, and the little responsibilities that I had. And they said, now what we want you to do, Brother Clark, is go home and put an X on a calendar and mark this day. And we want you to really, really, really work hard that this don't happen again. And if it does, put another X on the calendar and see if you can stretch these days out. Can you imagine? So anyway, I go home, and sure enough, a couple days later, I feel this desire in me building up, and I go to them again, and I get more scolding and more discipline, and now I get put on private reproof, where I don't get to comment at the meeting, I don't get to raise my hand and have participation, and then it happened again, and then I was put on public reproof, where they go up in front of the hall and they read a letter, and they say, Dan Clark is publicly reproved from the Christian congregation, which means all my responsibilities are stripped. I can't function in the hall. And I didn't know what to do with this desire. I thought I was really sick. I thought I was part of Satan's world. I really did. And they didn't let me feel any other way. They told me that it was wrong. I'm entertaining wrong thoughts. So one day I decided to tell this lady for whatever reason. She was a very spiritual lady, and she said, you know, what's wrong? And I said, well, I've got some sexual problems. And she said, well, what is it? And I said, I don't know. She says, well, you didn't tell me. I've either done it or either thought about it or done it. And so I told her, and she laughed. And she had bought all these books for me, you know, like $100 worth of books. She was going to help me fix this problem. And she said, let's go back to the bookstore and let's talk. And she handed me a tape by Father Keating up in Snowmass, Colorado. And it had to do with this very thing, this sexual desire and what it is. And Father Keating said that it was a desire that it was put into us by God. And God said, become fruitful and become many and fill the earth and subdue it. And you would have this desire and this build-up, and it would be for the opposite sex, and the opposite sex would have that desire for you. And it was natural, and, you know, and not that, you know, fully just masturbating all the time would be a good thing. Maybe some of you think it would be, but, you know, not that you would be, you know, sexually addicted because you've done it a couple of times or whatever. But anyway, that's to everybody's conscience. But such a relief came over me when I heard that was a God-given desire. And then I just needed to manage it a little better, that it wasn't that you were a bad person or totally full of Satan and totally full of immorality. That's what I felt like when I was in that Kingdom Hall. I felt like I was totally filthy and totally full of Satan and the world, and they really made me feel bad. And so I just want to tell you, if you're studying or somebody you know studying to be a Jehovah's Witnesses, these are just a few more things that they'll never tell you in the Christian congregation. They'll never share with you until you're until you're fully indoctrinated. Then they come into your bedroom. Then they want to know what it is you're doing at all times, your sexual doings, and so on and so forth. It's really gross. I've heard of families that have went before the elders and told all the dirty little secrets that they had between husband and wife, and I can't even imagine what it would be like. I mean, I could for me. Imagine being in your 20s, 25, at the peak, kind of in a man's sexual time, and being told it's bad, and you're entertaining wrong thoughts, and those are devilish thoughts, and you're part of the world, and, you know, well, I'll tell you what happens. You start to develop a split personality, because one part of you wants to be in the organization because you feel you have the truth. The other part of you is sort of in the world. So you split right down the middle. You become fragmented. You get a split personality. That's what you have in store when you go into that organization. Everything is literalized. All the scriptures are literalized. There's no black and white. It's either you're in or you're out. You're either entertaining wrong thoughts or this. There's no empathy, so to speak. So I just want to tell you, that's the thinkingness. That's the ideology of that organization that you're studying with, that you're looking at. Even though they come over with fine clothes and suit and tie and that sort of thing, that's the mentality of that organization. That's what they're trying to, that's what you're not going to be aware of till you're already in. So anyway, just wanted to share that little piece of personal advice to you, what happened to me, what happens to people, and I just don't think it's very cool, and like I said, it's something they'll never teach you until you're in there. So anyway, look forward to talking to you again on the next video and sharing a few more things that the Watchtower organization will never, ever teach you until you're indoctrinated. Thank you.